There are several former Spurs and former coaches still in the NBA playoffs, but who do you want to see win it all?
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Spurs, right here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for KENS 5 San Antonio. Glad to have you back. Hey, thanks for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. As always, we are free and available wherever you get podcasts. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. You got to check it out. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with the promo code LOCKEDON. That's PrizePicks.com, promo code LOCKEDON. Hope everybody's having a good start to their work week, and we're going to get you going right here on Locked On Spurs. What are we doing today? Well, there's a lot of former Spurs coaches still in the NBA playoffs. They just started. So from Kyle Anderson to Lonnie Walker to even Mike Brown, there's still a lot of that connection to San Antonio. And with San Antonio Spurs fans not having any horse in this race, the Spurs are eliminated for the season. Which player do we want to see have the most success in the playoffs? Which NBA former Spurs coach do you want to see have the most success this playoffs? So let's go ahead and bring in our guest. He's finally back. It took a lot of time trying to figure out his schedule, working with him, but we finally figured it out. He is back, everybody. He is Joe Garcia of Two Shots Podcast. Joe, we missed you here.
No, I miss being on Los, but I'm a working man. I got like 2 jobs, so I gotta earn that green, Jeff.
Well, that means you can treat everybody to food now, like to a dinner, right?
I'm trying to put my daughter through college, and my son's right behind her, man. He's graduating next year. So, yeah, man, I got to start gearing up to, for 2 kids, putting them through college, and got to buy 2 cars. So that's why I'm working so much, man. Yeah.
That must suck, man. But I mean, I know it's worth it. I'm not a father. I don't have kids, but I can only imagine what that must be like. But don't worry, Joe's family, they're in good hands with Joe behind the wheel here, running the household. Joe, by the way, everybody, we're going to be talking about what Joe's been cooking lately, and perhaps he'll give an explanation of, what's going on in his life, maybe ways to get a hold of him, because he has some sweet deals, sweet gigs that maybe you might be interested in. Joe, as mentioned right now, there are several former Spurs players and coaches that are in the NBA playoffs. They just started. Hopefully they'll be exciting as they were, as the playing games were. Nevertheless, look, we get it. The Spurs don't have a horse in the race, but they have several former horses. So let's start off with the player side. I'm going to grab, in no particular order, no particular manner, maybe just this one, Joe. Kawhi Leonard.
No.
Do you think you want to see him and the Clippers and that former Spur get another title?
Look, man, I think we all got over the Kawhi hurt, man. I mean, the guy's already won a championship with the Toronto Raptors, which kind of like jaded Spurs fans on the way he left, because that could have been a championship that could have easily been, won here with San Antonio. But, I'm over it, man. The guy, he competes at a high level, can will his team to victory. Why not? He deserves it.
I'm going to say no. Hell no. I do not want to see that guy get another ring.
You're going to be the jealous ex-girlfriend.
Yes, I am. He torpedoed the Spurs. They're the reason, a big reason. He's not the reason, but he is a huge reason. The Spurs are in the situation they are in right now.
Man,
having to rebuild everything. No. So I'm going to say no. Hopefully it's one and done for him and the Clippers. Like, sorry, Clipper teammates, the Kawhi Leonard Spurs fans. Yeah, they're just still a little jaded about what happened.
Jeff, you're gonna be like, if I can't have you, no one can.
If I can't have you, no one can. Yeah, exactly. All right. That was an easy one to knock off first. Let's move on now to the Sacramento Kings, and they have 2 former Spurs on the roster. We're talking about players. I know Mike Brown. We'll get into that later. Trey, Lyles, and Chimezie Metoo. Your thoughts?
Both of these players had shown promise here with San Antonio. I mean, and they're playing great over there with the Kings, and they have the former, and Spurs assistant coach, Mike Brown now, who's now the head coach of the Kings, and he's doing great things over there. So why not, man? These guys are deserving. They're putting in that work, and they keep on working hard, and they have a great coach behind them. I mean, heck, man, I'm not going to never want to not see anybody succeed. So, yeah, definitely.
Unless it's Kawhi Leonard for me. So that's the only exception there. But no. I mean, look, I wouldn't be mad if they were to go to the finals. Sure, I think Spurs fans will have their back. Chimezie Metoo, really didn't get a lot of run in San Antonio. Definitely played great with the Austin Spurs. Trey Lyles, same way too. I thought Trey Lyles would be a Spur for a while because of his skill set. He's a big, he can shoot the threes. He's young, he's quick, and he can work in the paint. I was a little surprised the Spurs never kept him on board, but nevertheless, sure, why not? I wouldn't be mad at that if Sacramento were to have a deep playoff run and perhaps represent the West in the finals. So I'll put him there. But this pair is not the one player that I like to see the most success in the postseason. But I'll put him more towards the middle of the pack. Joe, what about you? Where are you putting them? Like at the top of your list, or kind of, if it happens, it happens. Whatever.
Yeah, man. If it happens, it happens. But
I'm with you. Yeah,
it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm not like screaming like, yes, I would love to see them have the most success as a former Spur player in the playoffs. All right.
You know how we say it, Jeff? It's like, how some of these Spurs fans are. They see the former players succeeding on other teams. Oh, why couldn't he do that here? Why couldn't he have that success here? I'm all about this former player. And like, you can root for the guy, but I mean, come on, man. Like, keep it real,
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we're gonna move on and see which next players are on the list. By the way, we're speeding this up a bit because there's quite a few former Spurs players and coaches still, at least trying for an NBA finals berth. Let's go and move on now with the Phoenix Suns and Jock Landale. What do you think about him? Kind of the same thing like Chimezie and Trey, like, yeah, if it happens, it happens. Or you're like, no, I would love to see him win a title.
It happens, man. The kid only played like what, one season here with San Antonio Spurs, limited minutes. I mean, he seemed like, overall he was a good, let's say, teammate. Was he
Right.
a breakout star? One of these guys that's really gonna go and get you a double every night? No, not really. Probably delegated to coming off the bench kind of thing, maybe a role player. So if he wins, he wins. It doesn't really bother me. I'm unbiased. It's like if it happens, it happens.
Yeah, I'm right there with you too. If Jock and the Suns have a deep playoff run, finals or the West Finals, whatever, sure, why not? Yay, Jock! I think Spurs fans will be okay with that. He was a fan favorite in San Antonio. Yeah, I mean, he really loved the nickname. They call him a Jock Strap. That was one of the nicknames fans gave him. Were you surprised to see him go after that quick stint with San Antonio, or it's whatever?
Yeah, I mean, it's whatever, dude. I mean, you're seeing people come in and out of the Spurs, organization real quick now. Another fan favorite too was Boban, but Boban really hasn't really won a championship either. So
Not at all. All right. So far, Joe and I were split with Kawhi. Joe seems like, sure, I'd love to see him have success. I'm like, hell no. So that's the only one that we're split on. With Trey Lyles and Chimezie Metoo with the Kings, we're like, yeah, if it happens, it happens. Same thing with Jock Landale. All right, let's continue to move on now. Up next is Danny Green with the Cavaliers, the former Spur, won titles in San Antonio. Still, I would safe to say a fan favorite. Fans still keep up with him. What about Danny Green? What do you think?
Oh man, that one's kind of a tough one, man, because he played with the Spurs for a number of years, and he won chips here with the San Antonio Spurs. So if he wins, he wins, and I'd be happy for the guy, but let's be real. I mean, he's getting at the end of his career here. So if he does in fact win one, that's the way to go out, so I'd wish him nothing but the best, and I'd be happy for him.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. He's kind of in my upper tier of players that I want to see get a chip. And why? Because we know that he's coming towards the end of his career. He had a bad injury, I think, with Memphis.
Yeah,
and it almost kept him out of the entire season, or maybe it did. Really was instrumental with the Spurs in their dynasty era. Defensively, he was good. Knocked down that three ball. Remember during the finals, some people thought that he could have challenged for a Finals MVP because he was just shooting lights out. But overall, yeah, I would actually be very happy to see him win one more title if this is it for him or if he does, put a close to his NBA career soon. But so I'm going to put him at my upper list, a high atop of my list of a
And
former
let's be
Spur.
honest too, Jeff. He doesn't go on podcast shows and really badmouth the Spurs like some of the other former players do.
Oh, what a good segue. What a good segue. When we get back, we're going to continue our chat about former Spurs that are still in the NBA playoffs and which ones do you want to see have the most success in the postseason. Right here with Joe Garcia of Two Shots Podcast. Hey, but before we do all that, I want to talk to you about PrizePicks. You got to get PrizePicks right now. It's so much fun. I enjoy it. You will enjoy it too. So how does it work? Well, you pick 2 to 5 players, and if your bets on them or the way you figure it out with them go on to score more or less than their prize pick projection, then you win up to 25 times your money on any entry. No competing against other people. It's just you versus the projections available. PrizePicks offers projections on any sport you watch. This includes NBA, NFL, MLB, NHL, PGA, men's college football, WNBA, esports, NASCAR, MMA. I can go on and on. Eurobasket and cricket. Yeah, they have so much more there for you to join at PrizePicks. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. Super, super easy, safe and fast withdrawals. Currently operational in over 30 states and in Canada. Here's what you got to do. Download the PrizePicks app or go to prizepicks.com, sign up today, and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users get themselves a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code LOCKEDON. Basically, if you deposit $100, PrizePicks gives you $100. You deposit $50, PrizePicks gives you $50. Don't forget to enter promo code LOCKEDON and sign up for an instant deposit match up to $100.
Autobots, roll out.
We're back right here on Locked On Spurs with Joe Garcia of Two Shots Podcast. He's back after a long absence. I tried, people. I really did. I texted him. I did everything I could, but we finally made it work, Joe. I guess that's all that matters, right?
Yeah, we finally made it work. Yeah, you were texting me, man, but I'm working. It's like I can't leave the job to do Los, unfortunately.
What? How dare you put responsibilities your family and taking care of them ahead of Los?
Yeah, but no, but I wanted to do Los too. That's the thing. It's like, man, I'm working, but I want to do Los and I can't, So I was kind of like,
yeah,
a little,
that's all right. We made it work. We made it work. It's all that matters.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about today? As you've heard of segment 1, we're talking about former players and coaches that wore the silver and black jersey or were on the sidelines with Coach Popovich, and which ones we want to see have the most success. Right now, we're focusing on the players. We'll end it with the coaches shortly. So, Joe, let's continue our trip down former Spur memory lane. Up next is Kyle Anderson with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Slow-mo. What do you think about slow-mo? How much success do you want to see him have in this upcoming playoff, or the playoffs that are starting right now?
I don't know, man. These latest antics that you're seeing on the sidelines, man, that's got me feeling a certain kind of way about this kid. He's not a kid anymore. He's a savvy veteran, but he just can't keep his mouth shut, and like when you're out there, and I know you get in the middle of things, right in the thick of things, and words are exchanged and said, but why would you want to say stuff to upset your teammates? Like you want to make them rise with you, and trying to like go at a guy and call him out. That's not a way to go about things, man. So to me, I'm just like, if he wins, he wins, but I'm not rooting for the guy. Like, man, I hope he gets a chip. Yeah. His antics over here just, and it kind of soured me on the guy.
Yeah. I'm not sour on him at all. I think stuff like that happens. You can't tell me that's never happened with the Spurs at all, ever. I'm pretty sure there were fights. I'm pretty sure there were fights behind closed doors.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, I wouldn't mind seeing Slow-Mo get some success. I think, to see him transition into, as you mentioned, a savvy NBA veteran, to see him, really, taking a leadership role. I mean, yeah, sure, maybe it's a question right now because of how that went down with Gobert, but nevertheless, I liked him as a Spur. Very switchable. I thought he was going to have a long career with San Antonio, but nevertheless, I wouldn't mind Slow-Mo. I'm not going to put him in my upper tier of players that I really want to see win. I mean, all I got so far is just, as far as that level, I got Danny Green, but yeah, Slow-Mo, I think I'm with, I think at the bottom half for me. If it happens, it happens. Good for Slow-Mo. Keep on being Slow-Mo, Kyle, wherever you land, whether it stays in Antonio, I'm sorry, Minnesota, or moving on. But yeah, I think he was a fan favorite, right? Was he a fan favorite? Would you classify him that?
fans liked him, but I'm gonna let fans know in on a little, I guess, rumor here. He's one of the reasons why the Spurs don't have silver dancers. And if you know, you know. I'll leave it at that.
All right, well, just leave it as that. Make if you want to ask Joe what's that about, let's let him know on Twitter at Two Shots Podcast. All right, so I guess with you for slow mo, it happens, right?
Yeah, if it happens, it happens. But like I said, I'm not advocating for the guy. Like he wins, he wins. I'm not going to be like, wow, he won. I knew he could do that. I'll be like, yeah, good for him.
All right, moving right along. Up next is, did we talk about Lonnie Walker?
No, man, he hadn't really mentioned him at
Let's
all.
get into Lonnie Walker then with the Lakers. Still making an impact in San Antonio, even though he's wearing purple and gold. He's still putting on many drives, many fundraisers in San Antonio. I would say he was a fan favorite because of what he did and what he continues to do for San Antonio off the court, but on the court, felt like there was a lot of frustration, not being utilized right. The B word bust was thrown about.
Oh, man.
But in Los Angeles, he's been a pretty good bench role player. What do you think about Lonnie?
Man, Lonnie's a good individual, as far as a human being. He's a really good person, you know. And then you're looking at his athletic prowess, and he has all the tools to be able to really uh, make a name for himself, But he just seems to not have lived up to the expectations, and it looks like that's kind of happening now again with the Lakers, where he's not getting a ton of minutes. I mean, he was in the beginning because they had no choice. But now that things have kind of, mulled over a little bit, you're seeing his minutes decline a bit. And I think it's because he's just inconsistent. But you know what? I would love to see the kid thrive. Like I said, he's such a great human being. He was such a great teammate, and he did a lot for the community while he was here. He does a lot for communities anywhere he goes. So I want to see this kid thrive. He would be like one of the players that I would get excited for, and I would be happy for if he, in fact, did win a championship.
Yeah, I'm gonna put him on upper tier simply because he's just a good person. They always say you put good karma out in the world, you're gonna get a good karma back. And I would love to see that good karma come back to him in either a very deep playoff run or get to the NBA Finals, West Finals. Just as a person, I would love to see him experience that. And it's a shame it didn't work out in San Antonio, but if he wants to redeem himself for the Lakers, now's his chance in the postseason with them. But nevertheless, sure, I'm gonna bump up Lonnie for me on my list into sure. I would really like to see them have the most success in this NBA playoff. So
he's higher on the list than Kawhi.
Don't go there, Joe. Don't go there. Kawhi's beyond. He's off the page. Not even in. He's still in the ink pen.
Oh,
he's not even there yet. Not even be written on this paper here. All right. By the way, before we continue, who's on the upper tier? You are these Danny Green, and that's it, and that's all you got that you would really want to see have
Lonnie
the most
Walker.
success.
Lonnie Walker.
Oh, you got Lonnie. Okay. Just want to make sure.
But one player that we haven't, former player that we haven't talked about, and I think it's an
they're
OG,
coming up.
OG, is George Gervin. I would have loved to see him.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's a shame he didn't win one, but they got close a couple times. But those darn Lakers, Showtime Lakers, got them all the time.
Yeah.
All right, we have at least I think about two more players left. I know there's Anthony Lamb with the Warriors, but I'm not going to put him in the list because he didn't have a significant time in San Antonio. But up next is Dejounte Murray with the Hawks. This was interesting because became an all-star in San Antonio, really loves San Antonio, says that he has nothing but love for the Spurs, for the fans, for the city. But then you have that other side of the coin, and I think Spurs fans know of the comments he made about his time in San Antonio, saying that they brainwashed him, that how dare they put some foreign player ahead of him on the rotation, this and that, and 15 years and take this team 15 years to be back to prominence. But then he comes to San Antonio in that March game when the Hawks visited the Spurs, and he has nothing but love for the Spurs. So I'm mixed emotion here. Let me think about this. Joe, I'll let you start it off. What do you think about Dejounte? Do you want to see him as a former Spur have the most success in the NBA playoffs?
I would say, adamantly yes, but after his comments and the way he's kind of handled himself, that's kind of soured me a little bit on him. But nonetheless, I look and see what he is able to do, what he was able to do here with the Spurs. Early on with the Hawks, he was looking like he was going to be balling out there with Ice Trey, but if he has success, I'd be happy for the guy. But again, he's not going to be one of these players that's going to be really high on my list. If he does well, I wish him the best, but he's not quite down there with the guys that have not really been here too long. He's
Yeah.
kind of middle of the pack for me, but if he wins, he wins, and I'd be happy for him. He's deserving of it.
I would like to see him have success. I want to say it right now. I would like to see that happen. I know what he said about San Antonio and the fans, and then the other side of the coin, he says, "Oh, loves the fans and he loved the Spurs and Popovich, like a father figure to him." I just think he was just cut from a different cloth than perhaps what Spurs fans are used to as far as being the Spurs way when it comes to players. He just says what it is, and that was his experience, and that's what he felt. And if that's what he felt, that's what he felt. But yeah, this one was tough. I think I'm gonna put him on my upper tier list to have among with Danny Green and Lonnie for me. I'm gonna put him there. I'm gonna put him up there. I would like to see how he handles all that. I love to see how he comes out, how he shows out. It's like I want to see him have success, but I just hope he doesn't take a shot at the Spurs, or some veiled shot, some backhanded reverse compliment, like
throwing shade.
Yeah, like some sort of shade or something like that. I think he learned a lesson, when he got traded. Hopefully that'll carry over. I know Spurs fans are probably going to disagree with me vehemently, but I'm going to put him on my top of the list along with Lonnie Walker and Danny Green. Hey, we're not done talking. When we get back, we got one more former Spur. They're going to see which NBA/former Spurs coach does Joe want to see have the most success this current NBA playoffs right here on Locked On Spurs with Joe Garcia of Two Shots Podcast. Hey, thanks for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. You guys are the everydayers. Tomorrow, we'll have a lot going on. Don't quite know yet, but it could revolve around the draft and the current roster. So stay tuned for that on tomorrow's show with Locked On Spurs. Hey, I want to talk to you about Built Bar. If you're looking for a delicious snack, but you don't want all those sugar and calories, then you need to get the best tasty protein around. It's called Built. You really got to try this. If you're like me, you want to make a healthier decision, healthier snack choices, but you don't want to compromise taste, then we got the thing for you. Built Bars, Built Puffs. Built Bars are healthy and they're amazing. They taste so amazing, you won't even think that they're good for you. You just got to try them. What makes Built Bars so good? Well, for starters, they're covered 100% of real chocolate and dark chocolate. Yeah, that's right, real chocolate. They come in unbelievable flavors like churro, peanut butter brownie, and cookies and cream. I don't know how they do it. Built does it. They taste like a candy bar while maintaining amazing macros like 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, and a whopping 17 grams of protein. And you don't have to wait for a box anymore. They've been talking about going to built.com. You can still go to built.com, but you also go to your local Walmart or Sam's Club. You can still get yourself those good flavors at built.com. So you want to head to your nearest Walmart today, walk to the pharmacy section, get yourself a box of Built bars. You can pick up the 4-bar box there, cookies and cream, double chocolate bar, or the coconut puff. But if you're close to a Sam's Club, you can go in and get a 13-bar box with hit flavors such as brownie, batter, puff, and churro puff. Hey, you can thank me later. And I also want to talk about our newest sponsor right here on Locked On Spurs, the one, the only Mudslingers drive-through coffee right here in our community. So if you had to stay up late last night or you just need a quick pick-me-up, you want to go to Mudslingers drive-through coffee right now. Mudslingers is locally owned and an independent coffee shop, and they're proud to make delicious coffee for our San Antonio community. They do it fast and friendly, so you can get on with your day. Whether you're in the mood for a latte, cold brew, or Red Bull infused lightning bolt, they have the drinks for every taste. They also have a wide selection of dairy alternatives, low-calorie options, even caffeine-free drinks for those who just want to take it easy. Joe, you want to take it easy too sometimes, right?
Yeah, I do. I always want to take it easy because I'm working so much. I need to relax.
Maybe you need the Red Bull infused. I think you need the Red Bull infused lightning bolt. Then that'll get you going through your day.
I don't know, man. If I take that, I might be, I don't know, be so excited and be so full of energy. I might give me
Well,
some bad sports takes like Jimenez. Pa, pa.
let's get out of here then. Quick, get out. Jimenez is going to enter the chat now. Hey, but you want to go buy Mudslingers drive-through coffee right now for a tasty and convenient caffeine fix. If you're in San Antonio, they're located at 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive near 21 and 1604. They're open every day from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Life is too short for bland coffee. Let's go ahead and bring him back. He's Joe Garcia with Two Shots Podcast. We're talking about former Spurs players, former Spurs coaches that are in the NBA playoffs, and which ones do we want to see that have most success. Finally, to wrap up the player side of things, Joe, Derek White with the Boston Celtics. I'm going to tell you right now, I would love to see him get to the East Finals or even get into the NBA Finals once again. Your thoughts?
Oh yeah, definitely. He's one of the guys that's, top of my list because I mean, you see, he was such a great player here for the San Antonio Spurs as far as, what he was able to do on the court. Really great teammate again, and somebody who was involved with the community. Just a great overall person, and it was no
Mm-hmm.
fault of his own. He got traded, and Coach Pop wanted him to have a better opportunity to really go further than he was going to go with the San Antonio Spurs. And I think landing in Boston was a perfect fit with him, and we've seen him have success. And I know Spurs fans felt a certain way to see him thriving over there with another team, but it just goes to show, he's a special type of player. So definitely I'd love to see him win.
Yeah, I would love to see him win it all. Yeah, I think it'll be good for him. I like what he did in San Antonio. I felt that he was like going to be a big piece in the rebuild. Like, the Spurs would not trade him because he could do it all defensively, offensively, three shot, steals, getting to the rim. He's a big guard. I thought he was the prototypical guard they wanted to keep. I was a little stunned when they traded him, but the haul they got back from Boston sure did make it a little easier to swallow. Love to see him go on and hopefully get a title to his name. So that wraps up the player side. So far we have on the upper tier on my side, I have Derek White, Danny Green, and Lonnie Walker, and then Dejounte Murray. I think, Joe, you have Danny Green, Lonnie Walker, Derek White, and that's it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's it there. So let's move on to the coaches now. So there's several NBA coaches that have ties to San Antonio, like Mike Brown with the Kings, Budenholzer with the Bucks. But which NBA coach / former Spurs coach do you want to have to see the most success in these playoffs, Joe?
Oh man, one of the coaches that I'm really keen on looking at right now is really Mike Brown, man, and what he's been able to do with the Kings. I'd really like to see him have some success being a head coach of a really young team as far as the Kings are concerned, and see how far it can go. Hey, maybe they sneak in and go all the way to the championship game. Be there in the finals. So that would be exciting for me. I'd love to see him win and thrive. I mean, he's always been such a great coach, and he's been over there with Steve Kerr as well. As an assistant head coach with the Warriors, and you just want to see him have success. He's just one of these great people in the NBA, one of these great coaches, and he's learned everything he knows from the one great Gregory Popovich. So yeah, I want to see him
That's right.
thrive.
Yeah, I have Mike Brown on my list too. Coach of the year for the NBA. Really turned around that Sacramento Kings franchise. They finally made a playoff appearance. He has them running and gunning, like the beam, all that fun stuff. They're a fun team to watch. Mike Brown had a lot to do with it. There's a reason why he was named the NBA Coach of the Year for that, and so much more. I like his story as an NBA coach. From assistant coach with the Spurs, then moving on to I think it was the Lakers. I think he was with the Lakers for a while. And then we go back to an assistant coach with Steve Kerr, and now a head coach again. And he served with Team USA with Popovich. So I have him as number one. I would love to see him have the most success this playoffs. That means Chimezie Metoo and Trey Lyles could also have a key playoff run if our prediction is right there to have the most success. A close number two for me, interesting enough, would be Steve Kerr, just because if this is it for the Warriors, if this is it, if I wouldn't say their dynasty era is shut. I think it's like open a little crack open because with Steph Curry, you don't know, you always have a shot, but to see if this is it, if they're going to go back into a rebuild, you don't know what this team's going to look like. to have some success in the playoffs would be good for him. And I know somebody say, well, he's already had enough success. Let somebody else have it next. But I would like to see him get one more deep push if this is truly it, if we're going to look at a new look Warriors next season. What about Quinn Snyder? Too soon for him with the Hawks?
Oh man, he's got a lot of work to do still with the Hawks. I
Mhm.
think it might be too soon, but definitely that's another, former,
Yeah.
let's say, coach. He was coaching it, and for those who don't know, he was coaching the Spurs, G League team, the
Yeah.
Austin Spurs. So definitely, I'd like to see him thrive because I mean, you also see that he had success with the Utah Jazz. Fortunately, that didn't work out, and now he was just thrust upon, going into this hot mess that was the
Mhm.
Atlanta Hawks. And I mean, heck, they actually won their playing game there, surprised everybody. So,
Yeah.
I would like to see him thrive and have success. So definitely, he'd be another one of those former
Yeah.
coaches. You'd want to see him win a chip.
Of course, too, you have Taylor Jenkins, another Austin G League coach now with the Memphis Grizzlies. I would have him number 3 on my list. So number 1 for me is definitely Mike Brown. Number 2, Steve Kerr, and then him, Taylor Jenkins, have success. See what he can do with this Memphis team. But yeah, a lot of Spurs connections still out there in the NBA playoffs. The Spurs may not be in it, but they're well represented as far as former Spurs players and coaches. Joe, we got to talk about you now. What's going on with Two Shots Podcast? And I know you have some side businesses that perhaps that people are listening right now would like to talk with you about. What's going on?
Yeah, no, I'm just, the podcasting as far as being a podcast producer and editor for, live streaming and stuff like that has kind of picked up as well. And I have a normal 9 to 5 job on top of that. So doing 2 things at once, and trying to find time to do episodes of Two Shots. I'm just busy, in the being a producer. So love it. I love being a producer and producing shows and helping people, elevate their game when it comes to the podcasting scene. So I'm just having fun with it. And if you're looking for someone to, go ahead and consult with or help you with your live stream or your podcast, I'm always for hire. So go ahead and reach out to me. My DMs are open, and I'm working on some other things as well behind the scenes. I'm working on a brand new podcast that will be coming out later on this summer. So we'll reveal more details about that. But it's that's going to encompass the wide range of sports that we have here in the Alamo City. So I'll reveal more details as we get closer on to the launch.
All right. Well, make sure to follow Joe on Twitter once again at Two Shots Podcast. Hey, thanks for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. Really appreciate that. You guys are our everydayers, and make sure to subscribe at on YouTube, Locked On Spurs, Odyssey app, Ken's 5 Plus app. The list goes on, and so much more. And as mentioned, we got a lot coming up. Locked On Spurs. You want to stay right here. The NBA draft lotteries on the corner, the draft itself, this very important offseason. We'll have you covered right here on Locked On Spurs. So for Joe Garcia, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.